Hello and welcome to France 24's daily roundup on day 3 of the Africa Cup of Nations. It's been a tough day for Premier League stars Riyad Mahrez and Mohamed Salah as holders Algeria got their campaign off to an underwhelming start with a goalless draw against Sierra Leone, while Egypt were beaten 1-0 by an impressive Nigeria side. And that's why we'll be starting this evening with that Group D opener. Super Eagles soared comfortably past the Pharaohs thanks to a great half-volley by Leicester City's Kelechi Iheanacho on the half-hour mark. Egypt failed to bounce back. Their goalkeeper Mohamed El Shenwi made several saves to keep them in the game, but Nigeria commanded throughout. Performance that their coach has said was long been in the making.
Egypt is not a weak side at all. It's a respected side, coached by one of the top coaches in the world, and then one of the best players in the world also in that team. So you cannot say it's a weak side. It's a very strong side. We worked so hard, day in, day out, tactically, physically also, and gave the boys a whole lot of confidence. Respect always your opponent, but don't be scared. Respect your opponent and play your game. Feel free to enjoy yourself.
More on that result, let's cross to our sports editor, Simon Harding, who is in Yaoundé. Simon, the Super Eagles had a rather chaotic build-up to this tournament. They were without several key players and obviously fired their manager just last month. And none of that showed on the pitch, though, today.
No, not at all. A victory for the Super Eagles, an impressive victory and a deserved victory for them, Selina. They were absolutely sensational, and if anything, a 1-0 scoreline is quite a good scoreline, a flattering scoreline for Egypt, considering how poor they were in the game and how much Nigeria dominated throughout. Kelechi Iheanacho scored that goal, wonderful goal, as you mentioned, but it must be said that their wingers, Moses Simon and Samuel Chukwueze, were simply sensational throughout the match, and of course the presence of Iheanacho's teammates at Leicester City, Wilfred Ndidi in midfield, was also sensational. But what was particularly impressive for Nigeria is the way they bossed the ball, the way they did not give Egypt any time and space on the ball, any time and space to breathe. So it was a succession of attacks that were forcing Egypt to make some very uncharacteristic mistakes, giving away possession very poorly. And it is true, however, that Nigeria will have to be wary of getting that final product, of being just that little bit more clinical, because they won, but it should have been a much bigger victory. And against perhaps teams that will challenge them a little bit more as the competition goes forwards, they are going to have to put those chances away when they come up in these games.
Indeed, and as you mentioned there, Simon, the Pharaohs, in contrast, were pretty lackluster, despite having arguably the world's best player at the moment. That is, of course, Mohamed Salah. Can he carry this team alone?
Absolutely not, and that was very evident by the performance today. 16 goals in 20 Premier League appearances for Mohamed Salah this season for Liverpool, but he was too often left completely isolated by his teammates. Very poor performances by some Egyptian players who we might see actually lose their starting position in the starting 11. We can think of Trezeguet, who was absolutely shambolic, non-existent throughout the game. Zizou, his replacement, when he came on the hour mark, was much more lively, actually played the ball forwards, and that was what was missing for Egypt. They were far too conservative with the ball. It's a lot of question marks for Carlos Queiroz, who, as we heard the Nigerian head coach say, is a very well-renowned coach, but his team put in a performance that is not going to he's not going to be very pleased with. They have to find a way to be dangerous, to be creative without Mohamed Salah at the centre of all their attacking plans. The Egyptian, who did have one opportunity with 20 minutes to go in the game, but who mishit a shot and eventually he didn't score. So Mohamed Salah, who hasn't actually scored since Carlos Queiroz has come to the helm of Egypt back in September, and who will have to do much better along with his teammates, because at the moment Egypt are bottom of Group D.
Indeed, a lot of pressure for them there going into their second game. And finally, there was a goalless draw in Group D's other game this evening between Sudan and Guinea-Bissau, which puts those teams in very good running for them for qualification.
Absolutely, a point apiece, which does put them above Egypt. So you would imagine that if either team can get a result in their last two games, then it would almost certainly guarantee them qualification, with the 4 best placed third teams moving into the last 16. Now, Guinea-Bissau, it must be said, dominated the game hands down. Pele had a penalty save by Abu Eshirn, who was simply sensational. He also palmed away a fantastic header in the dying minutes. So very much one for the goalkeeper there, who was simply sensational and who gave Sudan a point. Sudan, who failed to create any clear-cut chances, and Guinea-Bissau will be disappointed they didn't come away with the 3 points. Their match against Egypt in just a couple of days' time is going to be already a vital one, not only for them, but for the Pharaohs as well.
Thank you, Simon. We'll be coming back to you later on in the show. And just on that note, we're going to take a quick look at how those results have left the standings in Group D. With their win, Nigeria topped the group with 3 points, followed, of course, by Guinea-Bissau and Sudan with a point apiece. While Egypt are trailing with no points, they'll be looking to get 3 points under their belt on Saturday against Guinea-Bissau, while Nigeria will be hoping to make it 2 wins out of 2 against Sudan. Now moving on to Tuesday's earlier game in Group E, which saw AFCON holders Algeria's campaign get off to a disappointing start in Group E. The Desert Foxes were held to a goalless draw by a spirited Sierra Leone side who had the better of the chances in the first half. The Leone Stars goalkeeper kept Yacine Brahimi and Riyad Mahrez at bay in the second. France 24's James Vasina has this from outside Japona Stadium.
Well, that was a result that very few people saw coming, or perhaps just the supporters from Sierra Leone. The team comes in to the tournament for the 2nd time ever in their history. The last time was in 1996, and the team is departing just there behind us. The bus leaving after that goalless draw against Algeria. A goalless draw which was well and truly deserved. They managed to hold the defending champions down, and a game that pretty much we saw how things were going to be going right from the start. That difficult back pass towards Mboli, the Algerian keeper, pretty much set the tone for the rest of the game, shaking the Algerians to the core, really. And Sierra Leone did everything, intercepting passes. They came up front, but just couldn't quite finish at times. They did get a goal in there, found the net, but that was disallowed for offside. After the game, however, fans were ecstatic with that result. And it was a different story, of course, though, for the Algerian fans.
It was a difficult game. It was very hot, there was lots of humidity, and it's not easy playing at 2 p.m. The next games will be at 5 and then 8 p.m., so Algeria can get their campaign going then. They got to Cameroon 2 days ago, so they have to adapt gradually. We're hopeful that little by little they'll improve their game to win some matches.
The prediction were 6-0, 4-0, but we made it possible by getting a goalless draw with the defending champion. So I feel so pleased with our Sierra Leone. Happy with Sierra Leone, I'm happy with the game.
This is a very strong signal to the other teams. Ivory Coast and Equatorial Guinea and Sierra Leone, we are out of business. We've been absent for 25 years, but we have to come and show Africa and the rest of the world that Sierra Leone, we are ready. This is just the beginning.
How about your goalkeeper? He was pretty incredible today, wasn't he? He took some risks, but it paid out.
Yes, that guy is a very good goalkeeper. We hope the big clubs in the world will come for him. He was the man of the match.
Words of praise then for Mohamed Kamara, the goalkeeper, who took some chances, of course, some quite daring chances, but that they did pay off for his team. Sierra Leone confident that they can keep going further in the tournament, while Algeria know that this is once again another wake-up call for a major team. Yesterday it was Senegal, today it's Algeria. They're going to have to step things up if they want to go further into the tournament, and of course continue that unbeaten run that now stands at 35 games. But for now, they're going to have to leave each team with 1 point from this first game. More to come. That'll be on Sunday.
James Vasina reporting for us there. Now let's take a look ahead to Wednesday's games. Debutants the Gambia will make history when they kick off against Mauritania in Limbe. The West African side qualified for AFCON against all odds by winning their group. Rated 150th in the world, they are the lowest ranked side in the tournament, though that's not putting off the Scorpions, who are hoping to sting in Cameroon with star players Omar Colley and Moussa Barrow, who both play in the Serie A. Along with more investment from the Gambian Football Federation, Belgian coach Tom Seinfeld, who was appointed in 2018, has largely been credited for the rise of Gambian football. He's hoping his team can cause a surprise, but is more importantly looking towards the future.
We are the underdog, but when we started with Gabon, Angola and DRC in the group, we were also the worst ranked team. We were the underdog. Hopefully we can make a surprise, but for me the most important is we have a group of some experienced players and a lot of young players. I want to develop Gambian football so that in the future Gambia is more frequently on the big tournaments.
Before we leave you for this evening, let's take a quick look at the other games we have to look forward to on Wednesday. Group F starts with a blockbuster between two frontrunners for qualification as Tunisia take on Mali in Limbe. Tunisia will be looking to bounce back from their defeat in the Arab Cup final in Qatar against Algeria in December. Equatorial Guinea face Ivory Coast in Group E. The Elephants will be without their first choice goalkeeper Sylvain Boa, who has been given a doping ban by FIFA. For more on those games, we're going to cross back to Simon in Yaoundé. Simon, Tunisia and Mali will be looking to prove who is the top dog in Group F.
Another of the two heavyweights on the African continent who make their entrance in the competition, Selina, but it must be said two teams who have struggled in recent years, particularly Tunisia. Since winning the competition in 2004, 7 out of the 8 appearances in which they failed to go past the quarterfinals, which for a team with Tunisia's budget, with Tunisia's players, is completely unacceptable. Now, Tunisia did have quite a smooth qualifying campaign, but they also lost against Equatorial Guinea in their last World Cup qualifier 1-0. So it is a difficult match. It's difficult to gauge exactly how good this Tunisian is. Their star player Wabi Kazri, who plays for Saint-Etienne, is certainly the man to watch for them. But he's been missing a lot. He's going on in age, so it is going to be difficult to see the Eagles of Carthage simply rely on Kazri throughout the competition. And of course, they're playing against a very competent Mali side. Only 3 of their 28-man squad play on the African continent. Most of their players play across Europe's top leagues, including Yves Bissouma of Brighton, including Khalifa Koulibaly, who plays for Nantes and who has 10 goals for them this season. So the Eagles are looking to create the sensation and knock out Tunisia and to set down a marker by beating them. For the Elephants, it's very much the same story. Plenty of power, a squad that probably is one of the best squads in the Africa Cup of Nations, along with Algeria, Eric Bailly. You have also Amad Diallo, Wilfred Zaha, Maxwell Cornet. So plenty of experienced players for the Elephants, but they've had some very poor results in recent times. They failed to qualify for the upcoming World Cup, beaten by Cameroon. And so this Africa Cup of Nations is very much the tournament that the Elephant fans want to see their country bring home. Bearing in mind, of course, Selina, that the next Africa Cup of Nations will be in the Ivory Coast. So it is going to be two heavyweights coming into the competition, but a lot of question marks surrounding both teams, and we'll have to see exactly how they adapt to them. Equatorial Guinea, as I said, who play against the Ivory Coast, well, they're coming into this match with on the back of 5 games without defeat, 5 wins actually for them since losing 1-0 to Tunisia back in June. So it's not going to be as easy a game as perhaps many would expect on paper.
And indeed, and obviously the Ivory Coast probably are hoping to seize on the opportunity to go top of that group after Algeria obviously having dropped points today. Thank you very much for us there, Simon Harding. And that obviously brings us to the end of our Africa Cup of Nations show on day 3. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back on Wednesday evening at around 11:40 Paris and Yaoundé time with all the latest results. Until then, stay tuned for more news here on France 24.